contract and on the inspection form, technically you weren't supposed to ask for a price concession. Well, now it does say, in addition to any repairs identified in section 1, the parties have agreed to the following. At closing, seller shall pay to buyer the sum of blank to be reflected as credit against the purchase price on the settlement statement, or at closing, seller shall pay to buyer the sum of in immediately available funds, or the purchase price is hereby amended to be blank.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a big problem with the second one being on there. The way that I understand it is that it's mortgage fraud because you are artificially inflating the price of the property by handing cash at closing. Do not do that. The lenders are going to go bananas when they see this. I had a lender tell me, "Well, Karen, it sounds to me like you're all going to be participating in a minor crime." Do not do that. We're not supposed to be. And he was teasing, but I mean, really, you should not be handing checks around at closing. I just have a bit, and there's been a conversation happening about that being on there, and there was an attorney who said, "Oh no, it's fine." And everybody in the room is going, "But that's not really fun."
Well,
Don't
if
do
you
that.
have a government loan, especially, that's
Right. Yeah, this is going to be a big no. And so I have a feeling at some point this is going to come off. That's just my opinion. So I would tell you, as you're going through this, and I saw this and I went, "What?" And I asked several other brokers and they were all kind of on the same page of what in the world? We are never been allowed to do that. I always want everything on the settlement statement. I know in practice, obviously, we all know sometimes things happen at the closing table, but to check this box right here and say, "I'm going to bring you cash at closing and we're going to make the mortgage price this, but then we're going to hand you money under the table and I'm going to put it right here on the inspection form," is a no for me. So national agents is a no. I would say for everybody, just don't do it.
No.
It's a no. Jenny is saying no.
I agree too.
Do not do that. That is a no. So we're gonna pretend like that doesn't exist. And we're gonna go with, we're either gonna have it as a credit on the settlement statement because everything needs to be on the settlement statement, or we're gonna amend the purchase price. We all know if we're into underwriting and you go amend the purchase price, you're gonna go right back to square one, so be careful on your timelines. Always, always, always better to figure out a way to have it come off something. I mean, I even recently have had a seller pay for title insurance. You know, we were trying to figure out how to use up they had taken some things out of the house that they weren't supposed to. We had come up with a number, but we didn't have enough closing costs, et cetera, to be able to use it all. And so I'm back with the attorney trying to figure out what else they can pay for. So get creative on that, but do not hand checks and cash at closing. Okay, sorry.
That's fine. And it may have been an agent who mentioned this in Louisville. I would say if you've listed a property that's probably going to be a money pit and you know it, you might just, when you're figuring out what your seller's proceeds are going to be when you're listing the property, you may just build in 1% or 5% for repairs.
That was a good tip as
Yeah.
far as when you're doing your seller consultations, when you're going to list a property. Go ahead and tell them to expect on the front end, what did he say, 1 to 2%
Yeah.
of the purchase price you're going to be spending either for repairs or concessions, and just go ahead and tell them. You know, because we can walk into a house and look around and say, "We're going to need some more." There's a good chance they're going to ask us to do something. So I took that tip too. I thought that was
Yeah.
good. Just
And
to
I don't
setting
know
expectations.
I don't know if it was an instructor or if it was participation from
Somebody
the
said that.
clients, but it was a good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5 is release of inspection contingency. In exchange for seller's agreement to make the repairs identified in section 1 and other terms set forth in this repair addendum, the buyers hereby affirmatively waive and release buyer's termination rights set forth in section 6 of the contract. You know, in the new contract, you've got that inspection period, so that's just saying that. So you have an initial date and time, and then check here. Okay, and the second one is the box says, check here and initial if the parties agree the buyer's termination right set forth in section 6C of the contract is not waived and released. In such event, buyers may still terminate pursuant to section 6C of the contract.
Forms we have are different.
Huh?
Our forms are different than what you
Yeah,
have up
that's
there,
what I
which
was
one's the updated one.
It only has
Let me
five,
see yours.
and that one has 6.
Okay, so,
Oh, they added the release section. So what the new one that just came out the other day adds a release section.
okay,
And new one
so
has
do I
6
have the old one?
sections.
Right,
This,
here's
okay,
that.
this one's January, so that one,
This one says January.
this one does too.
Wait, maybe this is different. Go back up here. What was different?
Release.
This was different to what this was?
Yeah.
Okay,
there's
so pull it
section
back up
6
here.
on there.
Pull it back up.
They just added the release section.
Okay, too many
It's
revisions.
been, so this one is 124 and this one is 113.
Yeah.
So scroll down just a little bit more. Seller's rejection, that's the new one, no. They added the final walkthrough on this one. Yes. And then where are you saying you're seeing something else?
Right there.
Number
Okay.
6.
Right, number 5 and 6.
Five.
So 5 on here is the repaired and then the signature.
Okay, yes, so that's what they added the release there.
Okay. So then we don't need a release form if it's due to inspection.
Right, I guess through to this, yeah.
What?
No, sorry, this is just releasing the contingency on it.
Oh, okay. So, at the top on property address, did they, because on here it says property address is contract line 8, but on the updated one, it's actually 14.
Go down.
Right there.
I
See
saw
at the
that.
top?
Uh-huh, now go down to 8. There is no 8.
There's
No,
no
on the contract,
Oh, yeah.
on the.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, yeah, okay, can you go to the contract?
Yeah, when you go to the contract, it's actually line 14. Not that that matters, it's a small detail, but.
So when you pulled, yeah, you're right. That's because they added in some of this contact information that was on the last page, and they moved it up to the top. So can you go to the website? This is, go over here, and this is what, they've got all the new stuff on here, okay.
Yes.
So can you find, did you pull that inspection form from here?
No, that was from Dotloop.
Okay, so pull it from here, because I think they've updated things as of, like, yesterday.
Well, a lot of them are flagging new.
Yeah.
I pulled these off the website yesterday.
No, well, you did these?
I think, yeah.
Okay, so go up to the
All of
inspection.
them that we listed.
Inspection, no.
March 2015.
Welcome to our life for the last few months. Okay, look, I have it on my email.
Is it repair? Is it under repair, inspection?
If you want to send it to me, I'll get it pulled up.
I just wanna be sure that what I have is what is,
Right.
because I mean, January, they've changed a bunch of stuff. Okay. Talk amongst yourselves.
What questions do you all have while we are going to the next one? We'll go ahead and take a few while he's pulling it up.
There's some now. Just for clarification, on that form we were looking at, the repair addendum, the section number 6 is not listed on these forms we've got printed. So is this the new one or is this?
That's what we're trying to figure
This
out.
one is dated January 13th, and I think this other one says 24th, so I think this one is newer.
Yes.
Maybe, so when are they gonna stop changing?
Yeah.
So that's when Mayor said act as a whole.
Well, that's why we've been telling people don't use it.
They
They said that this was it, like, when they released this Friday, they said that was it for this year.
Yeah, except for if they've got
Unless
any
they
like
have
more
some
ticky
sort
stuff.
of grammatical issue that they have to correct. So like.
But we know that that's only true unless it's not. right?
Right.
We know that's true unless it's not. So that's been the frustrating part about this for me.
Did we ever get an answer, like the 2-week period where you're supposed to do everything? What happens with like FHA appraisals when the FHA appraisal comes back and asks for repair work?
That inspection period, it covers surveys, appraisals, home inspections, so if you feel like you might need a longer time, you need to put it in there.
So,
If you find out that, oh gosh, we're not gonna hit that, that's when you write the addendum, right? To extend the time.
okay. So the appraisals now have to be completed within the first 2 weeks, or
Well,
the,
not 2 weeks, whatever number you write.
whatever you put in? Okay,
Mhm.
okay,
So you wanna allow extra time for that.
yeah.
And that's where it's gonna be real important for the lenders to be on their game up front. You can't wait to get the home inspection done and then order the appraisal.
So there is gonna be, did you see the change grid? They and I'm sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. They did put an appraisal order deadline in the new contract.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Okay.
That's changed, yes. Okay, so I just pulled this one off of the LBAR website, and this is the 113. So I really don't know between the 113 and the 124, which one is the one, because this is on, and it's flagged new.
I would say the 124
Well, I would too, but this is flagged as, we're gonna have to ask.
Yeah,
We're
because,
gonna need to get some clarification on that.
yesterday when I pulled the new contract in these forms, it was not off .loop, it was off the website.
This is the website.
Okay, well, that's where I pulled it off.
Yeah.
So you got the 124 out of Dotloop?
The one that I had up there was $600.
So we just need to ask for clarification because there is from Dotloop, from the Bluegrass Realtors Dotloop form file.
They haven't made their website, I'm using it.
But it's that big, and that one's flagged. So, okay, skip the inspection form, we're going to find out between what they have uploaded into Dotloop, which is dated 124, and what they have on the website flagged as new is 113. So let us find that out. Who's the person for that?
Janice, yeah.
Okay, I'll email Janice.
Okay.
CC Katrina.
Next form is your contract release. You wanna- Okay, so this looks a lot different than the one we presently have. Put your contract number, put your property address, then the release is entered into by the buyer and seller and their agent and broker as evidenced by their signatures hereunder regarding that certain Bluegrass Realtors real estate purchase and sale contract regarding the contract number and property address listed above the contract and is effective as of the last date of the last signature below. Termination, the parties here to agree that the contract was terminated pursuant to 9A of the contract. That would be just about anything, or by other mutual agreement of the parties. This release is entered into in compliance with section 9A of the contract or by other mutual agreement of the parties. Release, the parties here to agree that all past, present, and future rights and obligations arising under or to the contract are hereby terminated, waived, and mutually released, except as set forth in section 3. The buyer and seller hereby authorize and direct the escrow agent to immediately release and pay over the escrow as follows. How much to the buyers, how much to the sellers. The release shall not be effective unless signed by all parties of the contract except as set forth herein. All capitalized terms used in this addendum shall have the same meaning as in the contract, and all other terms and conditions of the contract remain unchanged and are valid and enforceable. And then the signature page follows. So they initial the first page and then sign the second page. And that has room for the agent's signature, the broker's signature. Okay.
Questions about this one?
I think that one's pretty
Yeah,
self-explanatory.
I kinda like how they added how much goes to the buyer and seller, because I've been seeing more of the earnest money splitting.
One would be situations that we
I had one where we just split it. And the reason we did that was because the buyers lost their money, but they had also requested that the seller do an insurance claim on the roof to get the roof replaced. Had they not requested that, that claim would have never started. So I argued that they owed half of the earnest money to my sellers because we created this whole mess.
And they did it.
And they didn't.
Okay, next form is the confidentiality agreement. And the problem with the confidentiality agreement, well, if it's used properly, it's a really good tool. But most of the agents out there do not know how to use it properly, and so therefore it doesn't work. But this is a form that they have changed, I think they said because it was easy to do. Nobody's gonna notice if it's wrong. Okay, confidentiality agreement, the proper way to use it, well, I think the top of that is all the same as before. Contract number, property address. Is that my phone? With the confidentiality agreement, that would be, it could be in a multiple offer situation or no multiple offer situation, but the buyer who's making the offer does not want the information to go public. So they want the seller and the agent to keep it confidential. They don't want to say, well, Joe Smith made a lowball offer on our property. They just don't want people to know about it. If you're in a multiple offer situation, it may be they've got an escalation clause or they don't have an escalation clause, but they don't want their offer to be in the mix to escalate, to help somebody else escalate up. So it's not counted with the other offers. It totally is set aside. You follow me? So what it says is, buyer intends to submit an offer or counteroffer pursuant to certain Bluegrass Realtors real estate purchase and sales contract regarding the contract number and property address above, contingent upon seller and seller's agent agreeing to not reveal the terms and conditions of the offer to any third party, including any prospective buyer or its agent or brokers. So what you do with this is you would submit this form before you submit the offer. And it says by their signatures, seller and seller's agent, check one, agree or do not agree. So if they agree to not reveal the terms and conditions of the offer to any third party, then you go ahead and you send the offer. Problem is, either they won't agree, they've never seen the form before, they don't know how to work with it, and so it's business as usual. And I think, Raina, you've done that before.
I usually use one with every offer back before it got too crazy. And then a lot of times they were reviewing offers so quickly you couldn't even get that signed before the offers were reviewed, so most of the people didn't understand.
No. So it's one of those, I mean, I've known certain offices that they always used this. They may have gotten away from it now, but they would submit it with their offer and it legally is supposed to be presented before. But just, you need to be educated to know how to use it, but I'm just telling you, it's not gonna work because you have to have everybody trained in it. Okay, so why they chose to revise this form in the first batch is, I think, because it was easy, nobody uses it. If a seller refuses to agree to the confidentiality of the terms and conditions of this offer by blank at whatever time, the offer will automatically become null and void. Well, your buyer still wants to buy, so they're going to probably agree to go business as usual. So there you go. But that's the confidentiality agreement. So down here, everybody signs. Okay. The next form is the blank contingency agreement. And this is referred to in the latest version of the contract. The top paragraph is the same. Contract number, property address. Okay, this is the same as the other forms consistently. Buyer contingency and/or seller contingency is agreed upon. So instead of having to write your contingencies in the new contract on separate addenda, you can use this form, and if you're working with the buyer, write your contingency in here. It says attach additional sheets as necessary. I'm sorry. The spring has sprung. In the event the foregoing contingencies are not satisfied by insert date and time, the buyer may elect to terminate the contract pursuant to 9A of the contract by giving notice to seller before the buyer's contingency deadline. 2, seller's contingency, and this would be the same thing. This contingency shall not be effective unless signed by all parties to the contract. So this becomes part of your contract. And it's going to be referenced in the contract. Okay, and then on the next page, so you initial, of course, at the bottom of the page, and then you've got the buyer's and the seller's signatures here. Okay, next form is the new addendum, the Bluegrass Realtors addendum. And that's it. Okay, in this form, basically it's the same as before. The only difference with it, and it does have a signature page, they've just made it like the other forms. It looks the same. And it says all parties agree to amend the contract as follows. So got it there. It shall not be effective unless signed by all parties. So go on, you initial date and time at the bottom, you sign it there. So that's the same. Okay. Is that all forms? New package? Okay. Okay, so that's all the new forms. Now we get to the actual contract in the latest version. Now, according to, do you have it there? Okay, down at the bottom, let's make sure we've got the right date.
410.
Okay, 410 is what I have. Okay, so this, according to what the boards put out, this one they voted on, and this is going to be it. They are not supposed to have any changes till, what, the end of the year, I think, or the first of the year. So this is the one they're going with. And I was reading through it last night. I was frantically trying to see if there was anything online I could take last night to another class to, I'm actually teaching it to new agents next week at the board in the buyer forms class. This plus all the buyer forms. So I've got to teach it fast. So anyway, on this one, changes, you've got the changes. Did we print that out for them? You should have gotten an email on it yesterday with the changes. How they relate to the last, here it is. You should have gotten something like this in your email yesterday with the contract.
It got sent out with, from Bluegrass Realtors.
Yeah.
Okay, I have not seen it yet, but I'm having trouble stuff going to my trash, so I'm
If
gonna.
you got that, you can make copies of it.
Yeah, let me see if I've got one that I didn't highlight.
I'll go run some copies. Or I can just print it.
Just, yeah, go ahead and print
I say I can.
this one.
I don't know if I can print.
And I print if I texted
You
you.
know what?
Okay, of the grid.
Okay. Okay, when I was reading through this last night and kind of comparing it with this, yeah, I was doing my own crash and cram and thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to teach this in the morning, what's different, and blah, blah, blah. What I found looking through it is I thought, you know, they've taken out a lot of the scary stuff. You know how before when you read through it, it was kind of like, and if you have not completed all of your inspections and whatever, we are going to hang you at 12 minutes. Okay, it took out, and time is of the essence. I mean, all the stuff that was like, oh my gosh. And it looked to me like what they cleaned up was actually good. Now, I haven't used it myself yet. I just haven't had a buyer I've wanted to sacrifice in case. So, well, I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Real talk.
I mean, I'm just telling you how it is. It's like, do I want to sacrifice them? They're really good and qualified, you know. Do I want to make them mad and have them run off? Okay. You put your contract number in. You put your buyer's name and your seller's name, the agent's name and their license number, your phone and email address, your brokerage name, and it says KREC license number, so I guess that's the principal broker's license number there. Or, okay, and it says office contact information, so I am assuming there you're gonna put your brokerage name, and then you're going to put your contact information as phone number or